try as Robert Jordan might, you know, it was her efforts to kind of act out as an Aes Sedai really never overshadowed the fact that she was there as the protector of these young people. And that attitude, though, makes a lot of the conduct of our main characters seem a little irrational. Why didn't they share with her, you know, their dreams? And why did they not follow her warnings? And so, to make a movie work, you know, heightening a little bit more suspicion over Lorraine and her motives, keeping the audience a little bit, you know, giving them that seed of doubt about whether she truly has their interests at heart, or maybe there's some larger web that she is weaving with them as a part of it, you know, can create much more of a reasonableness about why certain things aren't shared and why certain actions are undertaken through the eyes of our characters. So, you know, that's one of the things that we're looking at too. Yes.
One of the things that you're talking about cutting, condensing, and adding. One of the things a lot of people that start reading the series have a problem understanding is the prologue of the first book. And one of the things that you had said last year that you wanted to focus on mostly, well, not focus on mostly, but that you felt needed to be represented strongly is the prologue of the book, to see how far they came from the Age of Legends to this shambles of a man in a broken tower surrounded by his dead family. In the movie, would that be something that's going to be, you know, that you want to see?
Great question. One of the things that really was a key part of my pitch to Universal when we sold the project. Now, by the way, a lot of political shuffling in the last year, business point. The executive that we pitched the project to was the head of production, and now she has been promoted. She's now the vice chairman of the studio. And the gentleman who's basically the lead from the studio's perspective on our project is now the senior executive VP of development. So we're very well placed with fans living in the studio. The core part of the pitch, a couple of key points, but the point that I think answers your question is that unlike a lot of work in the fantasy genre, you know, this isn't the thing that I really don't like about fantasy is I dislike fantasy that is all make-believe. You know, I don't like, you know, well, you got fairies and elves and you got wizards that cast magic, and it just comes out of thin air. I don't like that, and the reason that I like Robert Jordan's world is that it's a world of possibility. It's a world of fantasy built on a foundation of reality or our future reality. It's a world of fantasy built on the crumbled ashes of a future that we've yet to realize. And so it's a world of fantasy built on the foundation of science fiction. And nowhere is it done. I think one of the most poignant and the most dramatic pieces of Jordan's writing in the entire series that I have to put right on top of my list is that prologue. It means everything to understanding what happens next. If you don't understand, and this is probably exactly what I said last year, if you don't understand, you know, the heights to which, you know, mankind will rise over the next few thousand years, when technology and one power, you know, are merged in day-to-day life. As Melissa says, you'll never realize what has been lost, and you'll never realize what the future holds for Rand and what perils face him. So that prologue, I think, was the most important part of the picture, and I've been very happy to say that my counterpart at the studio absolutely concurs and believes that too.
Besides, how in the world would you describe why everyone's calling him Blue Star if you don't have a prologue?
Question?
I doubt that they will make 14 movies. Have you guys had some initial discussion on what would be pared down to and what would be removed?
Cut out prologue.
Yeah, it is.
What did he say?
At a high level, in fact, Jason was even helpful to kind of outline some of that. But I'll tell you, nobody's thinking that. This is one movie project, and we got to knock the ball out of the park. And we also, as I said earlier, need to be absolutely careful about not breaking any threads of continuity. We want to keep everything open for a second picture and beyond. My personal view is that, yeah, after you get through the first 3 or 4 books, there's ample opportunities to do some consolidation, but that is just not at all on the radar screen right now. The whole focus is in getting first picture out that lives up to the brand, that brings in a whole new audience, and that at the same time doesn't let the people in this room down.
It's a great comparison for this one. It's not so much Lord of the Rings, which was conceived as a 3-project film, but Harry Potter. The first one was made as a standalone, and then the same thing, not breaking the continuity, and then it brought in so much money, and as we know by seeing Friday the 13th, the 14th, and all of that, if it makes money, they want more of it. So
we have about 10 minutes left, so we're going to come back to movies in just a second, but I want to make sure that we cover all the content that was promised in that schedule. And one of the things that we said that we were going to discuss is the outriggers. We don't have Harriet, but Jason, if you can just...
So what has been said, the short version is that we're going to need to wait a little while to find out about that. So there are the outrigger novels, which we really don't know what those plots are. Rob Jordan had an idea for them. And then there are the 2 remaining prequel novels that Wilson's chuckling, you probably know. And there's the prequel novels, which obviously New Spring is the first one. The second one was about Tam Althor and what he did, leading up, what he did in his life and how it culminated with finding Baby Rand. And then the third movie was, third book. Gotta get off movies for a minute. The third prequel novel was all about Moraine and Land, how they managed to get to the New Rivers, as Jim has said, just in the nick of time. So those were the. So ultimately, there are 5 novels in the Wheel of Time world that Robert Jordan had ideas for. I do not know the extent of the notes. That has not been publicized. Actually, Brandon says that he doesn't even know really how much notes there are for it. Yeah, maybe Wilson knows, but at this point, it's beside the point. What's important is that ultimately it comes down to it's Harriet's decision, and Tor, I know, would like to see those books, and as do a lot of fans, right? We all like to read it. Brandon has said that he has said publicly that if Harriet does decide to that she would like these books done, that he will write them, and that he wants it to be consistent with the voice, and that seems to be the best decision. It all comes down to Harriet, and at the end after A Memory of Light is published, she'll make that decision. And she's here, so if you feel passionately either way, feel free to let her know. Yeah, so that's pretty much where it is. So we'll have to wait a little while, I think, on that. I hope beyond those 5, I hope that's it. And that kind of fan fiction, in my opinion. But
I am really looking forward to the comprehensive encyclopedia.
We have, that's the codex. We actually have a panel on that tomorrow too. So one of the other works that will expand the series is what at least I call the codex, which is the master encyclopedia that Harriet will be really focusing a lot of her time on after the completion of the series with Maria and Alan and others. And so that's more details on that tomorrow at 1. And hopefully we're going to still have time for a couple more questions. One thing that I want to make sure that we at least mention, even though it might be a read and find out or really a watch and find out, one of the largest areas of discussion among the fans, either in many different forms, is potential casting. So, would you like to talk about
that? I actually did a posting some time ago on that, and too early for any casting to be made. But the likelihood of this is that you'll cast a series of set of unknown actors and actresses that most people have never heard of. That hopefully will be younger than the ages they'll portray, that can grow into the roles. And a few very seasoned, recognizable character actors to play some of the supporting roles. You know, and Tom might be canvas for that, but way too early to make any decisions.
But that's a great decision because you're not having people coming in to be themselves. You're putting a fresh face so that they can pick up.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen great Lanfears and Marines, but you know, the problem about going to a top talent, first of all, you know, it's too expensive,
Right.
which you know doesn't necessarily on
But they
film.
come with a lot of baggage. Then you know, then it's Angelina Jolie and not Moiraine.
Well,
You know?
the screenwriter we had on the project spent 6 months of his life doing the sequel to Wanted, just to find that Angelina Jolie decided she didn't want to do the sequel, and now it's in the trash heap and starting over on another version, the rebooted with another actor. You become hostage to your talent at that point, and what you want to do, what typically has happened with Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings, what we heard of Elijah Wood or Viggo Mortensen. And so there's so much talent out there that this isn't going to be a film that needs to be driven by a name on the marquee. It ought to be a film that's driven by the story, by the genre, and that ought to be what gets people, and by word of mouth of people like you that bring people into the theater.